Chandler Van De Water here, and I want to show you guys how I created this busted, messed up screen print effect all within Illustrator. I posted it on Dribbble and got a lot of feedback from people, but these instructions are fairly short, and Phil wanted me to give a little bit deeper look at how I recreated this, or how I created this so that you can recreate it. Alright, so as you see, I've got this one color logo here. This is kind of important. It's completely flat, as in there is not a, the deer is knocked out of the circle. The other thing that's important is that, I want it to be white in the end, but right now I can't have it be white because of the way that rasterizing and live tracing works. So what I'm going to do is turn off the background and, let's see, turn off the background and then change the color there so it's a dark color. Alright, so I've got my logo right here, and what I'm going to do is go to Effect, Texture, Grain. And we're going to do this twice, so I'm going to start with horizontal. Get your contrast up to 100 and your intensity somewhere around 80 to 85. I like it here at 83 on this one. This is looking good, maybe 84. You'll be able to change the effect a little bit later when you rasterize it in. But we're going to do the exact same thing one more time, except this time we're going to change from horizontal to vertical grain type, and that will give us this right here. So it looks pretty cool. Alright, so that's rendering, and then our next step is to rasterize it once we get it looking kind of how we want it to, right? So be careful, don't go to the effects palette under rasterize, go to object and rasterize. So you can rasterize at medium or screen, 72 ppi. This is obviously going to make it less quality, so it's going to be a little bit rougher. I'm going to keep it at medium for right now. And then the other thing to remember is make sure you change your background from white to transparent. If you leave it on white, it's going to be a big white block altogether with a little bit of bustedness in the middle, which is no good. Alright, so that's rasterized. Now comes the tricky part, and this is really honestly where you're going to probably spend the most time trying to pull this effect off. So under your tracing options, I have a preset for busted. I've got these settings listed out on my Dribbble post. But basically, threshold at 100, blur somewhere underneath 1 pixel, path fitting somewhere between 1 and 2 pixels. There's a lot of options there. And then minimum area and corner angle 1 pixel and 20 respectively. So what we're going to do is mostly mess with blur and path fitting. So as you can see, this isn't quite how I wanted it to be. It's a little bit too smooth and kind of janky. So what I'm going to do is knock this down to 0.2, and we'll see what that looks like. So yeah, that's looking alright. Maybe I want it at 0.3. I don't know. I'm just going to mess around here. Let's go back to 0.2. That looks good. And then the path fitting, let's try 0.8. So yeah, that's a pretty good effect. Maybe I want this to be 0.3 again, now that I've done path fitting. So honestly, it's a lot of back and forth between these two options is what I've found. So yeah, this isn't perfect, but messing around with these options and the grain options before, your, I can't remember what the setting is, your threshold or whatever, the one that you set around 80, 85. Mess around with that and mess around with these two will give you the different types of effects you want. So going back and forth a little bit might be necessary. For now, I'm going to stick with this. Okay, so what we're going to do is expand this, and then I'm using my direct select tool, and I'm highlighting the white that it creates when you live trace back in. And what I'm going to do is go to select and do the same fill color so it gets all those little dots on the inside as well. So we'll knock those out. So now if I zoom in, you can tell that they're there even though you couldn't before. So yeah, this is a really woolly deer. Looks really woolly, but it's also messing up the edge of the circle here, which is nice. So depending on what size you're going to be going at, it'll be different. But I like the effect that it gives. It gives it like a little bit of a busted edge here, which I really like for old school looking type. And then, to go back to what I was saying before about how originally I wanted this to be white, I'm just going to select this and just change the fill color to white. Fill as in the Phil Kaufman color. Ha. Okay, so that's how you create that effect. And again, mess around with those settings and try and get it to where you want. And hopefully this was helpful for you. This is Chandler signing off. Catch me on Dribble or Twitter and let me know how you made a process that does the exact same thing that's 10 times better than what I did.